Thank you. Thank you, Jerry, and thanks everyone for sticking through what is probably the sleepiest part of the day, and in fact the sleepiest part of the whole conference. But hopefully we'll be able to convince you to stay awake with the excitement that we're feeling in Impact, because we feel that this is potentially our year, and we've got 3 rolls of the dice to discover a world-class discovery. Now, I don't use the words world-class lightly. It's a hackneyed phrase in many cases, but for those of you that have followed us, know that this is what we've been looking for the extended period that we've been around, and I really feel that this could be our year. The first roll of the dice is going to be Commonwealth for copper gold, the second one at Broken Hill for nickel-copper-PGE, and the third one likely to be gold at Doonia. But if that doesn't work, we've still got a big depth of portfolio with our Julimar Far East project at Aachen. So, Impact Minerals, we listed in 2006. We've got 1.7 billion shares in issue, share price about 2 cents, 2.3 today, I think. Market cap sort of up there, 35 to 40 million. And December the 31st, 2.5 in the bank. And we've had strong support for many years from German groups. ABC is a subsidiary of Deutsche Balaton, which you've probably heard mentioned many times over this conference. The directors, we don't have as much skin in the game as we did, but we are highly incentivised by executive options, which are priced at price for success. So we will get rewarded when we deliver the breakout discovery. Share price, obviously, since COVID last year, we've done, like many people, done very well. And you see the interest that we had in our Broken Hill project just before Christmas, and an increasing interest in the last couple of days since we announced the results of our work at Apsley. So our key to our exploration success is really to be and accumulate strategic ground holdings in very prospective terrains. I follow Greg's philosophy there. Most of these terrains are underdone. There's still near-surface mineralisation, and we'll show you examples of that today. You don't need to spend a lot of money drilling through hundreds of metres of cover in many parts of Australia. At Commonwealth, this is copper-gold country. Katie Ridgeway is the well-known one, and we're close to Boda. And Broken Hill, of course, the giant silver-lead-zinc deposit, but we're looking for nickel-copper-PGE. And then we've accumulated a large ground holding in the central wheat belt, just east of Perth here, on the back of the Julimar discovery, and we have a walk-up drill target for gold at Doonia. So the first roll of the dice is going to be its Commonwealth project. We've had this project for some time, mainly looking for a VMS-style mineralisation, but the Boda discovery, which was just north of Commonwealth, has really set this region alight. Boda's been the first sort of decent discovery in probably 30 or 40 years since Katie Ridgeway, sort of 50 million ounces plus of gold, 10 million tonnes of copper, and North Parkes, well north of 5 million ounces of gold and 5 million tonnes of copper. So hot area, and you heard Jonathan talk about that earlier in the session. So Boda itself this is a cross-section from Boda, and it's just an interesting exploration history. Again, going back to Greg's talk, it took 50 years to make the sort of breakthrough discovery at Boda. The first hole went into this in 1969, wasn't assayed for gold until probably the 90s or the 2000s. And it took Alkane 5 or 6 years of work to sort of work out that a lot of the low-grade copper-gold intercepts in these drill holes were sort of hundreds of metres above the main discovery, which is sort of 300 metres below surface, and they've got multiple rigs going at the moment. So as it turned out, our strategic ground holding in the Commonwealth area, this is 5 kilometres. We only ended up being sort of 3 kilometres from Boda Kaiser, and so we benefited greatly from that. We've re-evaluated the ground for porphyries, came up with 5 targets. 2 came in for epithermal characteristics, 2 with porphyry copper, and 1 standout here at Apsley, just south of Wellington. And it's in these Ordovician rocks, the green rocks in through here. This is the main age of the host rocks for the porphyry mineralisation at both North Parkes and at Katie Ridgeway. Zinc donuts, we've talked about that a lot in the last couple of weeks, and hate to talk about donuts so far from lunch, but this is a classic pattern that you see in porphyry copper exploration. And we can see the scaling through here. This is a soil sampling program that we did over Apsley after walking out there and discovering basically copper sulfides extensively distributed at surface, and there's not a single drill hole into this entire area. And so we did a detailed soil survey, and we identified the central anomaly here, which is 2 kilometres long and sort of up to 750 metres wide. And importantly, it has a core of gold, copper, platinum and palladium. So there's plenty of copper-gold anomalies around, but the secret here is the platinum and palladium, because it's very characteristic of the type of porphyry that Cadia, Boda and North Parks are, and that's they're alkaline, and they're characterised by elevated PGEs. And so, boom, we had this sort of possible core area in through here. But then, amazingly enough, antipathetic to that, and sort of forming a very strong halo around it, we had zinc, lead and manganese. And it forms a classic hole in the middle, hence the term zinc donut. Now, these terms are very well known, very well understood in porphyry copper exploration. This is an exceptionally large one. And as an example, we have the Wafi Golpu, which is another 50 million ounce, 10 million tonne copper deposit in PNG. This is zinc in soils at the same scale as Apsley, and you can see the beautiful sort of ring of zinc and very little copper and gold in the middle here, which sort of tells us that, in fact, we're probably quite close to the surface. So no drilling, and then early this week we put out our IP results. And they're nothing short of astounding. There are 5 traverses where there's an amazing relationship between the geochemistry and the geophysics, and another 6 traverses where there's a really good relationship between the geophysics and the geochemistry over the entire 2 kilometres of the core. I'm just showing you 2 sections in through here. Here's the geochemistry. It's a stacked bar chart of the gold, copper, palladium and platinum, and the zinc, lead, manganese, and you can see the sort of the contact between possibly the core and the halo in through here. And underneath this we have a very, very significant, strong and deep chargeability anomaly. And a chargeability anomaly is telling you that there's a strong likelihood of disseminated sulfides, hopefully chalcopyrite and pyrite, as part of the core of a porphyry copper system, sitting directly underneath it and going down hundreds of metres. And this is probably a target that's about 500 or 600 metres wide. Also a very nice resistivity anomaly, which I won't go into, but is possibly related to the alteration around the potential porphyry copper. This is a gold-rich part of the section. Over here we have a copper-rich part of the section. This is 400 metres away to the north. Copper, gold, platinum and palladium sitting over this very unusual sort of elongate anomaly in through here with probably a low-angle fault cutting through here, and 2 resistivity anomalies either side. Great targets. These are our planned drill holes. And so all in all, it's a great looking story just from the geochemistry. Maybe this is the jam in the middle of the donut, which is of course a joke I had to tell at some point during this talk. We've put all that together on the magnetics. So this is an image of the magnetic data. Here's that core part of the anomaly again, so that's 2 kilometres long. And what we've got over the top is our IP anomalies in through here, and there's fairly consistent IP anomalism all the way up through here and out to the edge of this thing, all coincident with that geochemistry. And these are our planned drill holes in through here. So we'll be starting drilling within 3 to 4 weeks. We're only waiting for the approvals. The approvals should be through in 2 weeks. Drill rig is booked. We've got very good relationships with one of the drill companies, so no problem getting a rig. Land access is all in place. There is no native title on this ground at all. And so we're basically ready to roll. It is a really good chance of finding a major discovery in the first 10 drill holes that we put into this thing. So definitely a time to be watching us. So if we look at the second roll of the dice, we're going to go to Broken Hill, looking at our PGM nickel-copper. Broken Hill, mostly famous, of course, for the massive silver, lead, zinc mine at Broken Hill. Has been mined almost continuously, 150 years. Here's the scale, 10 kilometres, and progressively over the last decade we've built up a very significant ground holding there, probably the second largest ground holder in the area. Huge silver, lead, zinc potential, which we're looking for a partner for, but we've been particularly focused on these sort of relatively well-known but little understood belt of ultramafic rocks out here to the northeast, known about for well over 100 years as containing very high grades of PGEs. And the unusual thing is they've got very high grades of rhodium, osmium, ruthenium and iridium. And you can count on the fingers of one hand where you find that sort of thing globally. So there's something very special about these rocks, and it was what attracted me to them in the first place. So we completed a nearly 14,000 metre drill program last year, just finished at Christmas. We've still got assays to come. We drilled at Platinum Springs, which we'll talk about, Red Hill, which I won't talk about, and then briefly a little bit on the Little Broken Hill Gabbro. So if we look at Platinum Springs lies at the southern end of a 9 kilometre long chonolith, the tubular intrusion, all very popular now that Julimar has been named as one. And this thing is dripping with PGEs from basically north to south, multiple rock chip samples in the 10 grams plus of platinum and palladium and percents of copper and nickel. But all the previous work has been done down here at Platinum Springs itself, but it really never hung together with the drilling, even though there were some quite exceptional grades in some previous RC holes. So we managed to sort of replicate that a few years ago with this beautiful massive sulphide, and this is the prize. It's 0.6 metres, but it's 11 grams platinum, 25 grams palladium, 1.5 grams of gold, 15% combined copper and nickel, and 1.5 ounces of silver, fresh rock from 57 metres. If we can find a lot of this, it will be the richest ore in Australia, I'm sure. The question is how to focus, in particular in a PGE-rich system. PGE exploration is notoriously difficult because most of the PGEs are very fine-grained. Can't see them in hand specimen. They're below detection limits normally for handheld XRFs, and so conventionally you've got to send virtually every metre off to the lab. You've got big delays, 6 or 7 weeks, to get results back. So it's a very time-consuming process. But early on in our drill program, we discovered a proprietary geochemical ratio which actually shows a logged linear relationship to the PGE grade. Now, I don't know whether anybody else is doing this, well, A, in Australia or B, globally, but if they are, they're not talking about it. But this has been a massive breakthrough for us. Ratio here on the bottom, log scale, and then we've got platinum plus palladium plus gold, 3 PGE up through here, and we can see the relationship. And the key sort of numbers is sort of around about 5 to 10 things start to take off in grade, but above 10 and 20, you're sort of guaranteed a grade, and our super high grades are sort of still lying within this area here. And so the thing is, we can actually measure that ratio with a handheld XRF with a bit of machine learning. And what it did was completely revolutionise our drill program. So this is the Platinum Springs area. That's the bend that we saw at the base of the Morkai trend. This is about sort of 500-600 metres along here. We drilled here where the previous high grade was, weren't really getting a lot of love. Platinum West weren't really getting a lot of love. Worked out this sort of ratio, and then we started to drill our Plat Central. And we can see here, sorry, this is coloured by the ratio. So 10 is in red, and 20 is in white. So white is what we're looking for. And we can suddenly see that Plat Central and Plat East suddenly started to light up. And we were able to then close in the drilling. And that allowed us to, basically, we used the handheld XRF and we moved the drill rig along this traverse backwards and forwards until we pinged basically the highest ratio that we could before deciding we were over-drilling it. But here we are, so 16, 17, 21, 30, 20, 22, 31, 30 and 33. So moving backwards and forwards. Hole 30, highest ratio, a metre at 3.3% nickel, 1% copper and 22 grams of 7 PGE. I was actually pretty pleased with our results from that episode there. And we also then managed to define that one of the controls here is a Kambalda style channel at the base of the host ultramafic shown here in purple. And these channels, they tend to be quite thin. They're sort of 1 to 7 metres thick, but they're 20 to 100 metres wide. We've got something that's about 20 metres wide at the moment. But at Kambalda, which is the sort of the type example, these things can be well over 1,000 metres long. And so the challenge now becomes to track these things along the channel. And as we saw, we've started to do that, and we've got assays to come within the next sort of couple of weeks, which will confirm whether or not we've been able to track that channel over, say, 50 to 100 metres. Little Broken Hill is a very interesting area, which I won't dwell on, but basically it's a large gabbro intrusion that's 6.5 kilometres long. It's the same age, formed in the same place at the same time as the Jinshuan intrusion. There is one drill hole deeper than 25 metres into this, but very anomalous PGEs in shallow auger drilling along this western contact. We're the first people ever to drill it, and we've done some wide space drilling at the north here at Rockwell, which we put out. And basically every drill hole that's gone into the basal ultramafic has delivered here is sort of between 30 and 60 metres of anomalous PGEs. So 0.3, 0.4 gold, platinum, palladium. But in places we're getting 12 metres at 1.5, and then we're getting a metre at 1% nickel, a metre at 2.6 PGEs and some copper in there. So this thing is alive and kicking. There's a repository of millions of ounces of PGE at the base of this unit. We've just got to find where it's focused, and we think we know where those are, particular feeder zones and faults that we've spoken about in our various announcements. And so the third role of the eyes, which I'm not going to talk about, you can come and speak to us afterwards, we've got a walk-up drill target for Doonia in the Goldfields, 2.5 kilometres long, and we'll be drilling there as well later in the year. We've obviously got Arkin in the background. We pegged that in the morning, announced it in the morning, and Anglo American pegged 10,000 square kilometres around us. So we're obviously in the right place there as well. So look, this is our vision for this year. We could have put some Gantt charts up or something like that, but if Shane wants to press the button, that'd be great. Thank you very much.